Welcome back to another episode of Unspoken Heart, where truth meets testimony and where we're just no longer silent about the things that we've come through. And I am your host, Corinne Deanna Lane. I'm excited today because I have my friend here. I'm so excited that she said yes to this call. Ayana McDonald.
Woo!
Thank you so much for coming.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, sis, for having me.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. First of all, you got to tell the people who you are and all the things that you do because you're amazing. I'm so excited for them to just really get to know you and get to just to hear your story, but also get to know about you, as well. So if you can tell the people all the things you be having going on, she be like, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. I be like, I'm seeing all these people. I'm like, girl. So where else do you have to sing at this week and next week and then the week after? And then I'll be out of town and then...
Listen, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every opportunity God sends, but I am a speaker, an entrepreneur, a recording artist, of course. So I've had the pleasure and privilege to work with just some amazing artists down through the years. I also sing with JJ Harrison, Youthful Praise.
Nice.
I release my own music. I'm also an entrepreneur and I work in corporate America. And so I would say a lot of what I do is the intersection of being a creative and ministry where it intersects with business. So all of it combined.
Is that like marketplace ministry?
Marketplace and ministry, yes.
Nice.
All of the things. And so, I'm truly grateful to be able to do both because you really can do both well.
Yeah.
And truly I'm able to do all of it by the grace of God. So
I'm about to say, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
You like, I'm in corporate America and I be on tour and stuff. And then I got my own album and my own music and I be booked. And so you be booked and busy all the time.
All the things. But I'm grateful because I think it's so important to do what you love. And I can truly say I'm doing everything that I love as well.
That's dope. Yeah. See, because most times people are like, if only I could just focus on this, you know what I mean? But it's a wonderful thing to be able to exist, I guess, and be able to like be in all of the places where you want to be. And you don't feel like, I don't like this crap, you know what I'm saying? Or, showing up in different spaces. But that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for artists to just not put yourself in a box. You know what I mean? I think sometimes people feel like they have to choose, but you can actually do both and do it well. You have to be focused and prioritize and know what you want, but you don't have to put yourself in a box to say, I'm just this one thing.
Gotcha.
You can be a multiplicity of things and walk in the grace that God has given you to do all of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well... I want to jump into your story. You shared with me your story, and I really think that it's going to bless people like just tremendously because the whole reason why I wanted to do this platform was to really show people that like, for one, my heart is for the worshiper.
Yeah.
Like truly, because there are a lot of things that sometimes we don't necessarily get to say.
Right.
Because a lot of times we're either standing in the gap. We're either, we're setting atmospheres for the word to go forth. And, I told someone else when they were asking me about the platform, I said, a lot of times the worship leader is not the one coming to the altar.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most times we've been at the altar in the closet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we've been like, Father, here's the thing.
Right.
There's a lot happening and I still got to go up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we don't always get the opportunity to really share our story unless, we're kind of vulnerable enough on the platform to where we have the opportunity or the time to be like, yo, here's the thing. I've walked through this or I've done through this. Or if you aren't a speaker, like yourself or somebody who ministers or preaches or whatever, you don't often get the opportunity to tell your story and what you've come through, what you walked through, and what you still had to be before people going through at the same time. So that's really the heartbeat behind this, you know what I mean? And I feel like your story is like hallmark, you know what I'm saying, for that. So I want you to like start from the beginning, you know what I mean? And just kind of tell us your story.
Well, first I want to say this is amazing that you have this platform because I think it's so important because we as worship leaders, artists, or any public figure, you feel like you have to put on sometimes because of the nature of what you do, especially if you're a leader or the different hats that you wear, where it's like, okay, what space can I truly authentically be me and be able to say, raise my hand and say, I'm going through this, without what you're going through being tied to having to deliver or be able to produce what it is that you have to produce for wherever you are. So kudos to you for providing that space, because I really think as people hear these stories and are able to really see, okay, what you're going through is not much different than me. I think people will be strengthened by that message. So I'm happy to share, because when you reached out, I was like, okay, which story should I choose? Which one? Because there have been a few, a few things that have happened. And so, for me, I thought about what I wanted to share today was really how to still keep going in the midst of turmoil. And I thought of a story many years ago. I'll never forget. I got a phone call. It was like a regular Thursday afternoon, just doing what I do. And I got a call that, hey, you need to get here now. Your dad has been airlifted to Atlanta Medical. He just had a horrible car accident and he has been drafted into. So you can almost imagine where like time stood still, because, one thing about me is I stand 10 toes down on my family. Family is important to me. And, my family is my heart, especially my parents, those are my people. So, so when I got the call, I had a plethora of emotions all at once, because the faith side of me went up and started praying in the Holy Ghost. But then the human side of me was, what is on the other side of this call? Because as I'm preparing to rush to the hospital, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to hear when I get there. I don't know if I'm going to hear that today is his last day. And so all I was thinking, I was praying, I was crying, I was worried, all at the same time. And I think, one of the things that I'm learning as I get older is that it's okay to let your hair down and feel like God can reach you in those places that we as minstrels, as singers, as those who have to pour all the time. Sometimes if we're not careful, we won't think that those are the very same places, the places that we pour into others. Those are the very same places that even in our lives that God can reach into and pull us out of. And because we're so wired to give and to pour, to give and to pour, if you're not careful, you won't posture yourself to be able to be poured back into by God truly when you need him the most. And so I just cannot forget just praying, crying, racing down 285 to get to where I needed to get to. And when I got to the hospital, I literally had to watch over the next week my father lay in ICI. And I will never forget that first night, holding his hand, praying to God, because I could literally see that his life was hanging in the balance. That as I held his hand, that I truly we didn't know how it was going to go because of the impact of that car accident, that car wreck. Till this day, I still have the picture of the car because I was like, for him to have been able to walk away and to survive that is nothing but a miracle from God.
Wow.
And so I sat there in ICI with him for multiple days. And this is the part where it gets good, because it was a Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was Sunday morning. And I was grappling with, should I still fulfill my ministry duty that Sunday? And immediately within my spirit, I said, I have to show up and let the devil know that what he tried to do to my family and to my father didn't work. I had to decide and make a decision that even in the midst of what was a crazy situation, when I truly didn't know what was going to happen, I didn't know, the doctors were saying he would probably never be able to walk again. They were saying, we don't know if cognitively he'll be able to be normal again. So you're hearing all these things. And I will never forget, I said to myself, I got to show up tomorrow and I'm still going to lead praise and worship. I'm still going to sing, and I'm still going to give God what I know he deserves, because I've got to send a message to the enemy that what you tried failed miserably. And secondly, most importantly, I've got to let God know that I'm so grateful for what you did for me, that I'm not going to allow what I'm going through currently to block and hinder me from doing what it is that I know I've been called to do.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a pivotal moment because it showed me that even in the middle of chaos, even in the middle of something that seems impossible, where you really just don't even have the words, you can still make a decision to say, I'm going to be unshaken and unmovable in my worship, and I'm still going to show up and give God what he deserves. And I will say that moment of when I showed up and still went on that platform and led worship and still went forth was a turning point for me. It shifted my whole perspective on what this thing should look like.
Wow. So I guess after the Sunday that you ministered, did you have to go like immediately back like to the hospital?
And I did.
Like...
I literally got off the stage, got my stuff and went right back to the hospital. But I think it's just, it's one of those things to remind us, you just got to keep going, right? And as you keep going, as you begin to understand who God is, you understand that no matter what life throws at you, because life is lifing for so many people right now. But it's making a decision to be able to say that, God, no matter what it is that I'm going through, no matter what I'm facing, I still choose you. That no matter in the midst of heartache, turmoil, heartbreak, chaos, that I'm making a conscious decision to still give you what you deserve, because my worship is not predicated on what's going on around me, but it's predicated on who he is. So in that moment, I really had to grab a hold to that. And there comes a moment in your walk with God where the proof is in the pudding. You're going to see and be tested on what you're made of. And when life comes at you fast, you got to stand flat-footed and firm on who you know him to be. And so I really feel like that moment was a turning point for me that completely shifted my perspective on what this all means.
Wow.
And I will say, I saw the hand of the Lord in a powerful way when doctors said he wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. He was able to recover in record time. And today at 79, he is probably, if you were to see him today, he looks like he's 60. Like he's one of the strongest people that I know.
Wow. So what was it like emotionally? Like if you just speaking from just the human aspect, the daughter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like your father, from that aspect, like what was it like emotionally for you in those days that you're up there, you're holding his hand each and every day? Like, what are you thinking, even during those days that you were up there? Like what's going on in your mind emotionally?
I was nervous for the future, because truly I've learned that you have to be okay with the will of God. And sometimes we have to be settled in knowing that whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say it as well. And it's not just a hymn, right, that we love to sing, but when you think about the magnitude of what those words mean. So for me, I was grappling with, God, I trust you. God, I believe you. And I know you to be a healer because that's who you are.
Right.
But I had to, on the other side of the coin, say, even if you don't, I still have to trust you and rely on you if it doesn't go the way that we think, because truly he was in limbo. And so for me, as I was holding his hand, it was from a place of just, God, we trust you. We're going to stand flat-footed on what we know. And we as a family, that's not to say it didn't come with tears. It didn't come with fear. It didn't come with all of the things and the emotions that you carry when you're going through something like that, because truly we didn't know how it was going to go. I mean, that was the first time we had ever encountered something like that in our family. And so for us, it was just like, God, we trust you, and preparing ourselves for whatever it was that we were going to hear. But I'll never forget, even in the hospital room, because my siblings and I, we were, we're good at like making sure that we're all posted up. So we were all posted up. But even in his room, I would put on worship music. We would just begin praying in his room, creating an atmosphere for healing, to know that, hey, we're standing flat-footed, that your healing is already done. But we stepped into that space to be able to say, like, no, we're going to stand flat-footed on what we know and what God said. But that's not to say that it didn't come without tears and fear and emotions. But I think for me, the easier part was seeing how strong, as he slowly started to come out of that space, how much of a fighter he was. Like, when I tell you he was 10 toes down with that thing and was like, as he healed, he was like, I'm going to walk again. I'm going to be okay. Like, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to be okay.
So even after, I guess, the doctor saying it may be this or maybe that could be this, what was that like even for y'all kind of watching, him kind of say like, almost beating the odds, of what they were projecting, over him or speaking over him, really, you know what I mean? I'm saying like, this is what it's going to be. And y'all like, yeah, no, it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was even that like, just the battle of that? Cause you know how sometimes I feel like a lot of times when we're walking through things as, as believers and people who don't believe God, you know what I mean? There are things that still happen. People still pass away. People still, end up paralyzed in wheelchairs. People still like, so what was the thought process even in that? Like, I know you kind of mentioned like you were prepared. Well, I guess, as prepared as you could be, as you could be for whatever the outcome was going to be. But what was it like even coming up to watching him walk through this process, and in your mind you're like, okay, I believe God is a healer. I believe he will walk. But what if he does? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, what is that walk like? Because there are people who deal with, even us, that we deal with, God help my unbelief. You know what I'm saying? In certain areas. So it's like, how do you speak to that, in that aspect in a real time type situation? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The first thing I'll say too is where people I think mess up is when we try to be superhuman. Like, and that's going back to what I was saying earlier. Like, you've got to let God in those places. So I will never forget, there were days where when I left the hospital, I would be in tears in the car, just praying and saying, God, you gotta kind of get in this situation like expeditiously. But I say that to say you have to allow yourself your humanity, but also on the flip side of that coin, be so flat-footed and firm on what you know and who you know God to be. And what I will say is, in those situations, you have to depend on your track record with God. See, there is something to be said when you've walked with him through ups, downs, whatever life throws at you, and you've seen his hand before. You've seen him make a way before. You've seen him open doors. You've seen him do it before. Yeah. So for me, I'm going in with the lens of, I don't know how this is going to go, but based on who I know you to be, I have no choice but to trust you in this situation. So that's not always an easy thing. So you don't just wake up saying, oh my God, every single day I trust you. Right. It's certainly easier said than done, but you truly have to step into that space, because for me, a lot of what I always said was, what's the alternative? What is the alternative? Am I going to sit here and be woe is me? Are we going to sit here and say, oh, well, guess this is it. Oh, well, guess it's over. Or are we going to speak life? Are we going to speak faith? And are we really going to walk this thing out the way that we know and based on who we know God to be? And so I think everybody's going to be faced with that choice, right? Over, do I succumb to this situation? Do I throw in the towel? Or do I rise up and say, you know what? Either way, we're not going down without a fight. Yeah. So for me, that was the part that I was like, all right, we're going to put the boxing gloves on. Let's go. Yeah. Like, devil, you in for it. Like, because we're not going down without a fight. And so it was a daily thing though. It's consistently just making sure that your mind is clear, that your heart is clear, and a lot of tears went into that season. But again, like I go back to say that track record with God, like who I know him to be, he came through every time, and he did.
What was the recovery like for your dad? Like, how long was the process?
It actually took a good 4 months, because he was pretty banged up. And then being his age to go into emergency surgery, it was, and even psychologically, when you have impact like there or something that happens, like there's a process emotionally, mentally that you have to go through to get to the other side of something like that. And so for me as a daughter, watching him walk through that recovery made me proud to be his daughter, because I was like, okay, you a G. Like, you really thugging this thing out. And again, I will never forget the days where I would say, Dad, how are you feeling? He would say, it is well. It is well. It is well. That's all he would say. Because he was so flat-footed on, yes, this is my temporary situation, but I'm coming out on the other side. Yeah. So for me as a daughter, it's like if the very person that it happened to could say that, then I can't come in here a wreck. Yeah. Like I gotta be a G in this situation and really trust God. And so it taught us a lot as a family. It refocused us on what really matters. You know, family is very important to me, but I think we get caught up in the day-to-day of what we do and the bookings and the performances, and I got to be here, there, and everywhere. And they're pivotal moments in life where it all comes into full perspective. Yeah. And for us, that was a reminder of what truly matters, that family matters, that all of the great stuff that we do has its place and we're grateful for it. But at the end of the day, it's family over everything. Yeah.
I love the aspect of you saying you kind of in your mind on that Saturday night before you have to, you know, go before people, you know, like you often have to do with the call on your life, that at this, you know, at the same time, it's like having the perspective of, I know praise and worship is a weapon, for one, you know what I mean? And not allowing the enemy to silence you, you know, in that moment and be like, I ain't about to do it. I ain't about to, you know, or I can't do it, or it's too much. Because there are those times, you know what I mean, where you do gotta be in a certain space in your head, in your heart, in your mind, and you know, you got to know the balance, and that, you know, you got to know, you got to hear from God, you know, concerning the should I be here or do I need to be here? You know, that's a thing as well, because you got to think about even the times where sometimes we can just be pedal to the metal, you know, on something and neglect the rest, or neglect the go be with your first ministry. You know what I'm saying?
That part,
of, you know, type of thing. Take care of home, take care of your family. It's all right. Church
the work
will
be there. Yeah.
Every Sunday, my husband always says, Sundays keep coming. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they will be there.
Ministry gonna take care of ministry. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, whether you on the platform or not, somebody gonna be on that platform, you know? But I just love the aspect of you talking it through, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure, you know, having the dialogue with the Holy Spirit, you know, on the inside of just like, all right, Lord, what do I need to do? You know what I mean? Do I need to do this? What do I need to stay here? What do I need to do? And I think that's very commendable in this space, because sometimes in ministry, we can be so torn in those areas, because we know there is a demand on the call in your life, and especially if you have a role, or you're the worship leader, you know what I'm saying? That no one else can get up here, you know, and lead this. I'm the one who prepared, you know, the set. So sometimes you do think about it from that aspect, because it's like, well, dang, I don't want them to be just not have no one, you know, there, or be last minute, or I got to call somebody who's not prepared, and now you've got that on your head, you know, trying to rationally think through the ministry aspect, when your heart and your, you know, and your everything and your prayers needs to be, you know, with your family, with your Father. So I love that aspect of just how your reasoning for making sure that I'm there on Sunday, because no, I'm going to let the enemy know this ain't you mess with the wrong one. You know what I'm saying? Like, this the wrong family to come up against, you know what I mean? Like, so that's truly commendable, like, for sure. And I really love that. You obviously have like this, you know, this love for your father and honor that you show him. Because I mean, something like this, you know, can literally shook you to hear this call, you know what I mean, from about him. So can you kind of give us, like, kind of paint a picture for us of what type of man, you know, your father has been to you, just so that we can kind of know, like, to hear this call, because y'all, like, the family came, the siblings came, we like, yo, no, you know what I mean, not our father, you know what I mean. So if you can kind of tell us, like, what dad is he?
Yeah, my dad is the king, honestly. He's an incredible human being. He's one of the strongest people I know. Yeah. And, I'll never forget, he's Jamaican because my family by descent is Jamaican. But he has truly, he's the epitome to me of hard work, diligence, grit, grace, all combined and wrapped up in one person. Wow. His work ethic is unmatched. And so as a kid, I just remember him always instilling in us the importance of hard work, education, being independent women. Like, he used to drill that into my sisters and I, and actually still does till this day. He's like, all right, did you get your oil change? Did you handle your business? But when I think of him, I think of someone that I can only hope to emulate in terms of how I show up in the world to build legacy, because for us, he is that today. He's our example of what it looks like to start with nothing and to have vision, and to not be afraid to take chances and risks to accelerate that vision, to get your family to the other side of that, because we didn't grow up with a silver spoon in our mouth. I was born in Jamaica. And then when I came to the U.S., we lived in New York. I was raised in New York. But when he came to the U.S., my family, they came with nothing, so they literally got it out the mud. And to see what he's been able to accomplish and casting vision for our family, put all of his kids through college. All of his kids are doing extremely well, some in the medical field, some in finance, music, so we stand on his shoulders. Wow. And so he's just been that example. Like, whoever my future husband is has big shoes to fill. I'm just going to say that. Right. But I say that to say, like, he truly is just an extraordinary human being in person, and someone that I hope to emulate in my day-to-day of how I show up in the world. And so for us, that's why when this situation happened, it truly was like a joke for us, because you watch the strongest person go from being the strongest person to now being in ICU. Yeah. So to reconcile that was just a lot for us to wrap our head around. So just to really see how God did that for him was huge, huge for us. And the funny part is, now when you see him, you literally would never know that he went through that. That's the crazy part about when God gives a miracle. Like, you won't even smell, how to say, you won't even smell like smoke. You won't even have a trace of what you went through. And so truly for me, like, the whole story is insane of what God did for us. But to see him now thriving, doing well as if none of it ever happened, it yet again is another testament to God's track record, and who he's been to us and who he continues to be daily. Yeah. So I know you mentioned that you spent a lot of time with the Lord, you know what I mean? In your private time, through the tears, through the crying. Like, for some of the listeners, I want you to kind of tell us, what were you praying? What were you saying? You know what I mean? Like, if it was scriptures, if it was like, certain prayers, like, were you saying it over and over again? Like, what was it like? What did it sound like? Where were you? You know what I mean? Like, so if I was a person that needed to know how to walk through this, right? Can you tell us, like, what that was like so that I can emulate that? Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that, because I think in moments like this, people feel like I've got to always have my fancy prayers and all the word acrobatics that sometimes we do. I think when situations like this happen, you really become childlike, and that's when he becomes your dad, your father, Abba Father. And so in that space, I came to him as, God, this is Ayana. This is your daughter. I need you to come through for us like you've never come through again, like before. You've come through for us before, and I need you to do it again. And so for me, it looked like asking him, number one, for his peace, asking him to calm fear and worry. So, and also just quoting the scripture, like, by his stripes, like declaring the word of the Lord, not just over me, but over my family, over my dad. But for me, it was in those still moments. There wasn't a lot of going in and tarrying. I mean, I grew up old school church, so we tarried back in the day. I don't know if we do that now, but I'm being silly when I say that. But for me, it was the stillness of these moments. So just being in the car and really saying, I need you. And there's such power in those simple words. God, I need you.
Yeah.
And knowing that we serve a God that even in the stillness of those words understands the magnitude of what we're saying.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, that's when it really came alive to know that. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that sometimes we feel like, again, because the nature of what we do, there's a performance element to what we do. So if we're not careful, we'll always think that we have to be on. Here we go.
Yep.
You stand here, you do this, let's
pray.
And do this now, say this now, be here. Because we're so wired that way because of the nature of what we do day in and day out, that in moments like this in life, when it stretches you in a different way, you go to God without the polish of a thing, saying, I need you right now.
Yeah.
And even when you don't even have the words, when the tears are just flowing, knowing that truly he understands it. So for me, it looked like, I need your peace. Yeah. I need you to give me calm, and to know that even in this situation, and no matter what we face on the other side of this, reassure us that you have us.
Yeah.
Because right now, I know that you do, but the human part of me is still worried.
Yeah.
So my time with God was very authentic. And what I mean by authentic is just, there are moments where you truly have to just, it's me and you, God. Like, I truly need you to come through for me. And so for me, it was in a car. I love my car because Lord knows, heaven knows, I get a lot of prayers through in my car. Yeah. But it also just looked like that, coupled with declaring the word of the Lord over myself, over my family, over my dad.
Yeah. I love the childlike aspect you mentioned. Because even like the word talks about like childlike faith, you know what I mean? Like there's something about the vulnerability of a child. Well, when I think about like just my kids and how they're so very matter of fact when about things, about life, just situations, they're just so very straightforward. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Well,
either
if it's,
it is or it isn't,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I love that aspect of like the childlike prayer of just like, I need you.
Yeah. That's it. I need you now. I need you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come through for us. And he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the beauty of serving the God that we serve, right? That he understands us in a way that we don't even understand ourselves, that we don't even have to put on for him. We can be authentic in what we ask him for and say, truly, God, I need you. And he knows what we need when we need it the most. Yeah. And he's proven that time and time again. So I will say, honestly, to anyone that's listening, just know that love that we sing about and that we talk about is available to us too. And I can't stress that enough, because I see so often that those that serve and pour, sometimes if we're not careful, we'll forget that the very thing that we sing about and preach about and teach about is available to us too. Right. Because you've been so wired to give and pour that you forget that the same love that I'm singing about, that you are also equally a recipient of that. Right? Yeah. That as you sing, I need thee, oh, I need thee, to the people, that you too can be in a posture where he'll meet you right where you are in those spaces. And so my encouragement would be, don't feel like you have to put on for God. Because of the nature of what you do, feeling like you put on for other people as you sing, as you, whatever it might be that you do in your artistry or whatever that looks like. You don't have to put on for him. Yeah. Come as you are. Come with your stuff. Come with your baggage. Come with your heartbreak. Come with all of it. Because there's a grace that he extends to those of us who have to do what we do day in and day out in our serving. But he's ready with open arms. So as we sing that for others, he's equally waiting for us to have that childlike faith with him as well, and to be in that posture with him, saying, Daddy, I need you as well.
And if you could speak to, like, man, whether it's the worship, the worshiper, the worshiper, or anybody who has to go before people in that capacity where you're carrying so much. You got a lot going on, you know what I mean? Trying to learn the balance of, when do I take the break? When do I not? When do I go, when do I stand 10 toes down? When do I lay it out? You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Because that's a thing, you know what I mean? So I really would like to, if you could give them a level of wisdom concerning that, like, what do I do when I, know what I'm saying, when I'm walking through something like that? What would you tell them?
Absolutely. I think you said so much in what you just shared, because I think, number one, you got to seek the Holy Spirit, right? Because every situation is not one size fits all. So that's what the Lord was leading me to do in that situation. But you've got to hear God for your own situation and for what that current circumstance might be for you, because there are instances where it's like, no, I do need to be with my family right now. I will see you in a few weeks. You know what I mean? And but I say all that to say, there comes pivotal moments in your walk and in your serving and with the nature of what we do, where the words that you sing will have to be lived out. So when you sing, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well, that will be put to the test. When you say, I believe you're my healer, nothing is impossible for you. You will face moments in your life where those words that you sing will be put to the test. I think the biggest encouragement that I could give to those of us who do what we do, who are always in a posture of pouring and giving out to others, is, number one, don't allow your testing season to cause you to waver in your calling or to cause you to shift out of place for what your calling is. Because life is going to do what life does. And, like the Bible, it rains on the just and the unjust. So we all have a turn with what it looks like in terms of the ebbs and flows of life. So you've got to remain flat-footed, not only on who you are, what your calling is, and hold true to that in good times and in bad times. But secondly, you've got to listen to the Holy Spirit and be led by him in terms of, God, what should I be doing now? Because there are seasons where he's going to say, you need to sit down. You need to rest. You need to replenish yourself, and never give out so much at the expense of yourself or at the expense of your family. I can't stress that enough, because there is a reason by design that our first ministry is to our family. By design, there are reasons as to why the family unit is so important and so necessary. And so my encouragement will be, certainly lean on the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you. Number two, but make sure that you don't allow the winds and the ebbs and flows of life to cause you to be out of position when truly God wants you to stand 10 toes down on who he's called you to be through those seasons, because in that he's building something in you and stretching you in a different way to show you what you are able to handle and what you are able to serve through and what you are able to endure while still being able to be used by him. But then finally, be open to his voice when there are seasons where you have to rest and be able to take a pause and be able to pour back into you. Because as you pour back into you, you'll be well positioned to be able to pour back into others.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
We know all too well, don't we?
We do. Hence the platform.
Yes.
Unspoken Heart.
Yes.
Legit,
Yeah.
Because it's like I think about you on that Sunday, you know what I mean, up on that platform. Nobody has no freaking idea where you just came from. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and where you will go back to when you step off this stage, Like, it's a real legit walk. Like, this is not a game. This is like, I always say, there's a cost.
There is.
For the call.
Yes, there is.
And I guess I would say the thing that we're so, that we know that God is real. He's a living God. He loves us so much. He's taking care of everything. I always say a lot of times before, when I pray in the morning, like with my team, I'm always like, Father, heal us as we serve.
Right. That part.
Because it's like, you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
With people. Like, you don't know, like, even just with the people that you serve with and serve amongst. So I always kind of, I say that, just over us before we get together and have to, go before people. It's like, God, heal us as we worship, as we serve. And I feel like it helps just so much, because you're just like, I feel like everybody's like, all right,
Right.
You know,
like I
it's
can.
just like,
Yes.
all right, let's lay this stuff down, you know, and let's do what it is that, you know, that we're called to do. So thank you so much. Like I appreciate you just sharing your heart, sharing your story. I know people, if they know you and if they want to know you and if they want to book you and if they're like, how do I get her to come to my church? You know, how do I get her to do my event? Where can they find you?
You can go to my website, www.ayanamcdonald.com, or on social media outlets, so you can book me there.
Awesome. So it's Ayana McDonald.com, but on social media it's
Ayana Mac.
Ayana Mac.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that's everywhere.
Yep. It's everywhere.
Nice. So I'm excited. We're going to worship together. Yes. So you guys will get to see and hear her wonderful voice. You'll get to see why she showed up on that Sunday. And she was like, I got to go on Sunday because you're going to see why. Make sure you guys check the description for the link so you can see our worship duet. See you guys next time.
In today's world, your brand isn't just what you do. It's how you're remembered. And the strongest brands don't just sell, they connect. That connection begins with the story you tell. At Train to Catch Planes, we specialize in premium video and audio podcast production that gives your voice clarity and presence. Our brand storytelling uses filmmaking techniques to capture emotion, depth, and the why behind what you do. And our social media content creation positions you as the leader in your industry, the voice people trust, follow, and remember. This isn't just production, it's legacy in motion. It's your vision, it's your voice, it's your time to take flight.
Train to Catch Planes is an amazing experience. It's not just the atmosphere, but the customer service, the way that the team leads and guides you. If you come in here not necessarily knowing where to start, how to do certain things, their guidance is unmatched.
The direction of Brian, his creativity, you don't even have to tell him what to do, okay? In the editing, all of it is youthful, it's trending.
Let me tell y'all right now, if you don't know about this spot, it is a premier spot in Metro Atlanta with all the needs, the necessities, the equipment, the cameras, the lights, the action. It's right here at Train to Catch Planes.
Hey guys, I'm Deanna Lane.
I'm Brian Christopher. What's up, family?
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to Unspoken Heart.
Unspoken Heart.
The mission behind this movement is really just giving people a platform to tell their stories, giving them a platform to share what they've come through, to share how God stepped into their situation and turned their lives around. I'm just excited to be able to provide a platform for that, especially for worshipers, especially for people that just have a story to tell and they want to be able to share that and share the love of God.
We're just gonna keep growing this thing one episode at a time, one duet at a time, one story at a time, one testimony at a time. And hey, we're just gonna watch where God take us. Take all of us.
The episodes will drop every Saturday morning, so be subscribed so that you can be notified when they drop.
Make sure you're commenting, guys, because when you comment, you help the algorithm push this out to more people. And the more people we reach, the more effective we are in getting the word of God out. Unspoken Heart, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Every single Saturday, new episode, new worship duet.
In the description of the video, you can click it so that you can watch me and the guest worship together.